Okay, let's talk a little bit about fractions and what they are and what you do with them. Now in this slide, what you see is different variations of fractions. So the first one, that triangle, 1/2. If you look at the shaded part, it's basically half the triangle, right? Then you got a circle, divide up into 3 pieces. A third is just one of those things shaded. A square divide up into 4. 1/4 is one of those shaded. You divide a pentagon, which is a 5-sided figure, into 5 equal pieces. 2 of those would be 2/5 of a pentagon. And finally, you got a rectangle. Divide up into 4 equal spaces. Shade 3 of them. That's 3/4 of a rectangle, or 3/4 of a rectangle. Now, if you think of a circle, which is basically a big pizza, and if you divide that pizza into 8 pieces, then each one would be 1/8. If you divide up into quarters, then each piece would be 1/4. That's all it is. It's just divided into parts. So it's just something less than one whole pizza. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about equivalent fractions. If you look at this slide here, above the blue line I've got 0, 1, 2, 3. And down below it, I took that and I divided it by 2. So I got 0 over 2, 1 over 2, 2 over 2. But if you look at that 2 over 2, something interesting happened. It lines up with the 1. So if I got something less than 2 on the top line between 0 and 2, I'm something less than 1. Go out, 3 over 2, 4 over 2. Now if I take 4 divided by 2, I come up with 2, and that lines up with 2 on the top number. So anytime I see a number, if I'm talking about halves, the top number is between 2 and 4, I'm bigger than 1, but less than 2. Let's keep on going a little bit. Then we got 5 over half, 6 over 2. 6 over 2 lines up with 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So if I'm between 4 and 6 on the top number, I'm somewhere between 2 and 3. Now let's try it with quarters. 0 over 4, 1 over 4, 2 over 4, 3 over 4, 4 over 4. Again, 4 divided by 4, that lines up with a 1. 5 over 4, 6 over 4, 7 over 4, 8 over 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2, which lines up with 2 above the blue line. So if I'm bigger than 4 but less than 8, I'm somewhere between 1 and 2. And you can do the same thing. If I'm bigger than 8 but less than 12, I'm somewhere between 2 and 3. And I can even go further. I can keep going forever, actually. But let's go down to the 8s. 0 8s up to 8 over 8s. 8 divided by 8 is 1. So it lines up with the 1. 16 over 8 lines up with the 2. 24 over 8 lines up with a 3. I could do this with 16s. I can go to 30 seconds. You're saying, well, why do I need to do this? Why is this important? Hold that thought. Okay, I've got 4 circles. Let's call them pizzas, okay? So one pizza I cut into half. Next piece I cut into quarters. Next piece I cut it into 6. And finally I cut one into 8s. So if I take that first pizza and just take one of the slices away, that's 1/2. If I take the other pizza and take two of them away, that's 2/4, right? 2 of the 4 pieces. It's the same as 1/2. Or if I got the 6, I take away 3 of them. 3/6 is 1/2. Or 4/8, that's another way of saying 1/2. This is all the same amount of pizza. It's just expressed differently. And it depends on how we cut it up. All right, if it's half, quarters, 6, 8, again, we could cut that into 16ths or whatever we wanted to. But 1/2 is equal to 2/4, is equal to 3/6, equal to 4/8. Okay, I've got this ruler or tape measure, right? So I've got this piece is something less than 1 inch. So the way I would read this, right, if I go halfway to 1, that's 1/2. If I go 1/4 away, that's 1/4, which is halfway to the 1/2. Then if I go 1/8 of the way, that's 1/8, which is halfway to the quarter. Or then I got 16th, which is halfway to the 8th. 1/32, which is halfway to the 16th. Okay, and these can all add up. So I've got, it's just like that pizza, right? And however I want to cut this up, I can do it. This is why you need to know fractions, because you need to learn how to read a tape measure or a scale. So how do we use this, and why do we need to know that? Let's say you got a spindle, and the spindle breaks. So it comes there, and you don't know what the part number is, right? But you got to find a replacement. So you know, if you can take some dimensions on this thing, you can look it up in a catalog and get the right part. So let's see, the critical part is how long is A, right? And if you know that, you can get the right part. So to find A, you'd have to add up 2 1/4, 3/8, 2, and 1. And this is why we got to know how to add and subtract fractions.